Wait a minute, man. You mean to tell me the Dallas Cowboys have finally figured out what me and David have been talking about this whole time? They need trench monsters to protect Dak and create running lanes. We'll talk about that today here on Locked On NFL.
The barbershop is open and Tony Wiggins has a chair for you. He's ready with some real NFL talk. The local experts of Locked On bring their expertise, and Wiggy is ready with his clippers and shears. Sit down and enjoy. The new Locked On NFL starts now. Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey, it's Tony Wiggins, the host of the Locked On NFL PM show. I am here, of course, with my man David Harrison of Locked On Commanders and Locked On NFL Squad show because it is Wednesday and we got a good show for you here today. We're glad to be your team every day here on Locked On NFL. We thank you for making us your first listen as well. And I got to let you know that today's show is sponsored and brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $250 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Has to win. Going over to FanDuel and make that happen, man, because the NBA playoffs are getting started. It's pretty easy in the first round to figure out who's going to win these games. So you might as well head on over to FanDuel right now. All right, here's what we're going to do and where we're going to end up at. The end of the show, we'll talk about the Packers and the Eagles being in good spots one day out from the NFL draft. Peter Bukowski says he has no clue who the Packers are going to draft, but he'll give you an idea about four guys that he hopes falls to them. And, of course, the Eagles keep doing things differently and winning, and I don't know why people won't emulate them. We'll talk about that. In the middle, the Saints hold the key for the Steelers. What on earth does someone on Bourbon Street have to do with somebody in Pittsburgh? Well, Ross Jackson seems to think that they want a quarterback, but they're not going to take him early, which should make the Steelers happy until the Steelers realize exactly what Ross is talking about. In the second round, we'll discuss that, and we'll start the show talking about the Dallas Cowboys. I give them a grief all the time. Shout out to Landon McCool and DeMarcus Mosier. Marcus really gets it from me all the time, man, going back and forth on social media, Harrison. I probably give Marcus more stuff than you give James Rapine up in Cincinnati. But I've been beating up on the Dallas Cowboys for a minute, man, for always looking for the guy that wants to wear the star on the helmet and not doing enough of what got him a lot of success back in the day, and that's trenches. And it seems like they're changing their mind. They might be taking a trench monster at 12.
I mean, they need to. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like I remember, it really wasn't that long ago when you think about it that the Dallas Cowboys had the best offensive line in the NFL. And everybody praised them about, spending draft capital and going out and getting these guys and these earth movers and these dancing bears and all the euphemisms and analogies that we use for offensive linemen and trench players, all that stuff. And then on the defensive side, you know what I mean? They had some formidable guys, and like DeMarcus Lawrence was there forever. And now he's in Seattle talking trash about the team. And like, it kind of reminds me, Wig, of companies and organizations that have really great reputations. And then they get like these new people come in, whether it's a head coach, GM, whatever. I mean, the owner's been the same, so I don't know why this happened, but they basically just think that their reputation is going to carry them. And so like the Cowboys build up this really great offensive line, and they're just like year after year, man, O-line's great, O-line's great, O-line's great. But then they never really made sure they kept it going. So then as these guys get hurt or they leave, like Zach Martin, Tyron Smith, like you're replacing them with subpar players. And now you got a quarterback in Dak Prescott who's missed at least a quarter of the season in 3 of the last 5 years due to injury. And
there's
the guy you pay a whole lot of money to. So if you're not going to, like, you look at the Washington Commanders, and they haven't even paid Jaden Daniels all this money yet, but they go out there and they go trade for a left tackle, 5-time Pro Bowl left tackle. Then they go out there and get him a receiver, yes, but it's a receiver that is a quick hitting receiver. His receiver's going to take screen passes. He's going to try to get short area passes. Like, that helps the pass pro. You know what I mean? Like, people think about pass pro as just O-lineman. Pass pro is so much more than just O-lineman. And the Commanders going out there making moves to make sure their quarterback is protected. Dallas Cowboys, I mean, you got to get on that page, man. If you have an NFL team, I don't care if it's Cowboys or anybody else, that is not out there trying to protect their quarterback every single year, how do we get better protecting our quarterback? If that is not one of your focal points, you're going to fail.
You are going to fail. I'm glad you said that, because that's going to bridge us to later on when we start talking about the Eagles. The Eagles are the new Cowboys when it comes to offensive line. Dallas had that for about 15 years straight, man. All you heard was Hudson Houck, Hudson Houck. Now all you hear about is Coach Stoutland up in Philadelphia. Listen to my man Landon McCool and Marcus Mosher talk about Dallas and what might be a peek into their draft philosophy that may be in line with the way David and I feel.
Did the Dallas Cowboys just reveal what they're going to do at pick number 12? Maybe an offensive lineman could be in consideration at 12. I'm not saying that's going to be the pick, but I think I'm way more open to that idea now than maybe ever before.
Yeah, I do think that sometimes we examine these press conferences like they are cryptic, like message laden, kind of.
I don't think they're trying to be. I just think he generally believes that the offensive line is the way to build a team. And he said, we've had a lot of success with multiple high round guys.
I think Jerry Jones is the golden retriever that sees the squirrel run by, right? Like that's more Jerry. I think if anything, probably right before the press conference, they were talking about running backs, and somebody had a conversation with them and was like, actually, Jerry, it's a lot about offensive infrastructure that's about that kind of builds the running game. You really have to have a strong offensive line. Look back at what happened to us last year. And then Jerry just kind of came out on stage and then regurgitated what he had previously. Look, I certainly don't think we should be ruling out offensive line in the first round, but I don't think we should have been doing that in the first place. Right?
I know my man didn't just call Jerry a nosy dog, did he? But it sounds like to me that's what he said, but no, I'm just joking. Good stuff by him. I saw you laugh when he said he was the retriever that sees the squirrel run by, because it's like Jerry will fall in love with whatever idea that comes up at that moment, like right before the press conference. But in this situation, I'm extremely, extremely pleasantly surprised that they're deciding to at least think about the fact that Dallas can do the right thing. Look, this is what it's like, man. It's like picking an offensive lineman when you're a team that talks about stars and this is where everybody comes and with box office. Picking an offensive lineman is like saving money. It's like taking a third of your money every 2 weeks and sticking it in a savings account and don't go looking for it. And you don't really appreciate it until it's 98 degrees in the summertime and your air conditioner goes out.
Yeah.
That's when that is when you'll appreciate it and understand all of that stuff you've been doing, because you got something to lean back on and rely on and get that thing fixed just like that.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, you look at these mock drafts they're going, and mock drafts are mock drafts. They're not always, they're not always completely accurate. But there's an NFL.com mock draft that's got the Cowboys taking Matthew Golden at number 12. There's another one's got them taking Teteroa McMillan at number 12. And then there's another one that's got them taking running back or Marion Hampton at number 12. Listen, like that's all great. That's all fine and good. Like Matthew Golden, late play separation. Here's the problem. If Dak Prescott is on his back late play, it doesn't matter how much Matthew Golden separates.
Nope.
At the end of the play, because he's not going to be able to throw the ball. Like people, and listen, the Cowboys could go this direction. It doesn't mean they're wrong. Doesn't mean they're right. But people have to remember, like everybody wants a running back that can just run over linebackers, run around DBs, and do all this stuff on their own. They don't need blockers. That's not reality. The reality of the story is your running back, like Saquon Barkley with Philadelphia, would not have been as good had he returned to New York. Like it's not a 1-for-1 scenario where you look at Saquon in Philly and say, look at what the New York Giants missed out on. Like, no, like he's a great player, don't get me wrong, but Saquon Barkley in New York, not as good as Saquon Barkley in Philadelphia. That line matters. Matthew Golden isn't going to be able to do anything if Dak Prescott isn't protected. Teteroa McMillan, not going to be able to do anything if Dak Prescott isn't protected. Marion Hampton, not going to be able to do anything if that offensive line can't block for him. So, I understand want to take the attractive. And look, there are guys on day 2 that they might be able to take instead of day 1 that could certainly boost that offensive line. So let's not get too crazy here. But the focus every year, man, if you're, the saying goes, if you're good in the trenches, it's hard to be a bad team. If you're bad in the trenches, it's hard to be a good team. That's why I like covering the Commanders. A lot of Commanders fans are frustrated. Where did you get better in the trenches? You lost John Allen. You brought in Dietrich Wise. That's about it. Where did you get better? Javon Kinlaw came in. Like, where did you get better? A lot of Commanders fans look at the defensive line as basically breaking even at best right now. So they're a little bit frustrated and looking at the draft and like, okay, like go get an edge, go do this, go do that, go get better in the trenches. They want offensive line upgrades, right? That is a fan base. And I believe the Cowboys fan base is probably on that same page where they've got their mind in the right place. The sexy picks are great. The picks that come up and on NFL Network, they got all these touchdown highlights. they're great. They're going to sell more jerseys. But what's going to bring you the wins is getting the ugly dudes that got busted up knuckles, bad knees because they just squat all day. Those are the guys that are going to bring you the wins. So that's where if you're not good there, if as an NFL team, you have to go get better there.
Let me ask you something about Washington. Can you offer a consolation to the fans and say, this is why you take best player available? You know why you can let John go? You can let John go because they drafted Johnny Newman. Can you at least just sell them on that part and say, this is why you draft best player available? Because it might not be for this year, even though Johnny played some last year. It's because now you're in a position where you got to move on from somebody and you already plugged him in.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people did look at Johnny Newton as a what's the word? Is a not necessary pick, right? I can't remember the name, the word they called now.
He fell to him, and they took him because of that.
Yeah, they viewed it as a pick that you didn't necessarily need, especially right now. It's like, where's he going to fit in, all this other stuff. But yeah, the future is always on the mind of every GM, every decision maker in the NFL. So whether it's a pick of convenience or whatever it is, you go get those guys, and then now in year 2, especially with a full offseason to actually work out, he was injured, had surgery last year. With the full training camp, all that stuff, the hope is that he's going to take a big step. And if he does, then that will make the trenches better as well. And if Javon Kinlaw is a better fit in Washington than he was in New York and can be healthier than he was in San Francisco, then that'll be a better fit. So, so there's always the potential there. But, I think every fan base, like when you talk about where should my favorite team go in the draft, go in free agency, you got to start in the trenches. Where are you not strong in the trenches? That is where your focus should be. Then from there, move outside.
No doubt about it. Normally, teams with new coaches, they want to find their guy at quarterback if that quarterback doesn't already exist. So there's some thought that the Saints could be going at quarterback. The question is, do they do it at 10 or do they wait until the second round? And who else does that affect? We'll talk about that and more here in just a second on Locked On NFL. Today's show is sponsored and brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs have begun, man, and the action is already hot and bothered. And FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action right now. When you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. I love how FanDuel makes it easy, whether it's picking my favorite team or diving into player props, picking who's going to hit the most three-pointers, lead in steals and assists. All of that is fun. And then after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. All right, we're rolling along here on Locked On NFL with Tony Wiggins. That's me, and David Harrison. That is him. And we're talking about everything leading up to tomorrow's NFL draft. Big day. We'll have another show for you tomorrow telling you what we think will happen and what will be the biggest surprises. But today we're talking about some big teams in the National Football League that have some big decisions to make. And one of them is the New Orleans Saints. I said right before the break that the Saints teams usually when they get a head coach, they want to find their quarterback if they don't have one, and I don't think the Saints have one. And even if you did think Derek Carr was the answer, he's now hurt and probably out for the season and may have even played his last game in New Orleans. New GMs, though, they usually want to invest in infrastructure, like you said, David. They want to get a lineman. Look, you can't go wrong if you get a big person. Ross seems to think that even though the Saints want a quarterback, they may not take him in the first round, and that may have some ramifications, in my opinion, for a team like Pittsburgh. Let's hear what Ross has to say from Locked On Saints.
The New Orleans Saints will draft a quarterback in the first round of this year's NFL draft, but it won't be at number 9 overall. And I think that one of those quarterbacks will be either Louisville quarterback Tyler Shuck or Ole Miss quarterback Jackson Dart. These are the names we continue to hear more and more and more. Loudly as we get closer and closer to the draft. And this kind of backs up one of those theories that I had earlier on in the offseason where I said, the noise is too loud too early on all of these guys. I want to wait and see what happens with the guys where things have been most quiet. Quinn Ewers, Tyler Shuck, Jalen Milroe. Then all of a sudden we saw, the private workout with Jalen Milroe. We've seen a bunch of stuff. They even did I think they did a top 30 visit with Quinn Ewers, if I remember correctly. Certainly had dinner with him in Austin before his pro day and all that. And then now we're starting to see Tyler Shuck.
I agree with Ross. I think you got to be careful waiting until that second round because Cleveland, if they take Travis Hunter at 2, They're going to be sitting there primed and needing a quarterback themselves. You got to be very, very careful with them. And then maybe some other teams like Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh, if Shedeur Sanders gets past 10 and he starts creeping into their area. Now, keep in mind, they don't have a second-round pick, so they don't have the ammunition to go up. But from everything you're hearing, Shedeur is kind of falling a little bit. And if that happens, man, he could land right in their laps at 21.
Yeah, listen, I'll be completely honest here, and well, let me first be fully transparent that I have not studied quarterbacks this year as much as I did last year because the team that I covered needed a quarterback last year. However, I've studied them just because I'm a football nerd and I'm curious about it. So to a certain extent, so grain of salt here, right? But Cam Ward, in my opinion, if he's in last year's draft class, he's fourth, maybe the fifth best quarterback in that class. So that's where I stand with Cam Ward, and he's the top guy in this year's class. Shedeur Sanders is probably seventh. You know what I mean? Jalen Milroe after that, Jackson Dart after that, Shuck after that, Will Howard out of Ohio State after that, Quinn Ewers from Texas after that. Like, you have a lot of dudes. I don't know if you have any great dudes in this class, to be quite honest with you. I get the Tennessee Titans taking Cam Ward at number one at least because at least he kind of looks like he might be, that guy. But the rest of these guys, they've all got major question marks. They've all got major red flags. So if you're a team that has a second-round pick, I'm not drafting a quarterback with my first pick in the first round. And I put it like that because here's what I want to happen. This is what I want to happen. I'm not predicting it. This is what I want to happen. I want the Saints, the Browns, and the Giants, at least those three teams, to all not have a quarterback when pick number 29 comes on the clock and the Washington Commanders are trying to trade back with one of those teams. Because then you can come through and all these teams with all these day two picks that you don't have, you can start collecting some day two picks for one of these guys to come up and get what I think. So Jalen Milroe is my third favorite quarterback in this class. Okay. His arm talent scares me, right? It's terrifying. So if you don't know if you can develop that, then you probably stay away from there. Shuck is good. Shout out to Ross Jackson, by the way, for the Louisville, not Louisville.
I know it, right?
Most of us outside of that area say Louisville, but Ross showing some respect to the region and dropping to Louisville. But that's kind of the situation. So like I see Jackson Dart number 9 to the Saints in this Chad Reuter NFL.com draft, bro. That would be terrible. That would just be absolutely terrible. Like don't do that to your franchise. You know what I mean? Go to the trenches. Bucky Brooks has cornerback Will Johnson. Okay, get better defensively. That's going to help.
Take your day Barron. Yeah, man. Just take a short,
you know what I mean?
Short player. Right?
But to me, like Shedeur Sanders is a day two quarterback. However, I understand the intrigue and why people would want to take the risk on the upside. The problem I have with the Pittsburgh Steelers, if you take a quarterback at 21, he's your starter. He's your starter. And like Shedeur Sanders, like I don't think he's ready for that. I don't think he's ready to carry that weight. You know what I mean? And you don't have a second round pick to come back and I don't know, give him a back or give him another receiver. I don't know if you're going to trade Pickens, like, you know what I mean? Like it's definitely a slippery road for the Steelers. Mike Tomlin, still has that record. This season, bro, this might be the year that record goes away. But yeah, we'll see, man. But I outside of Cam Ward, if I'm one of these other NFL teams, I mean, it's rough, man, because you look at the NFL free agent market still, like Carson Wentz is the best free agent quarterback left outside of Aaron Rodgers. Bro, good luck to you, man. Just good luck to you, because if you're the Steelers, you're bringing Aaron Rodgers in, you can't spend your first round pick on a quarterback.
Yeah, you might. You ain't got a bunch of draft pick. Maybe you trade a 6th round pick for Kirk Cousins or something and pay him. I don't know what they're going to do. Bro. But I tell you this, though, I'm going to give you my spill on Shedeur real quick. There are times when I watch them play, I'd be like, okay, he got away with that, but he can't keep doing that. Like he throw a wobbler up and the dude would run right underneath it. But then it kept happening over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And I'm like, okay, at some point, this ain't luck. At some point, this is just who he is and this is what he is. Now, that still doesn't, in my opinion, translate to a first-round pick in the NFL draft, right? I don't think he's a thug. In fact, I think he's far from it. I think he's on the total opposite end of the spectrum for being a thug. But I do think this, and I think this about his dad too, and it's with all due respect that I say this. If you don't care what people say about you, why do you act like you care so much about what people say about you? If you're supernatural, which I believe Deion pretty much has been all of his life, and if you're Himothy, like they call him, if you're chosen, you should know that everybody ain't going to see your vision. Because if they did, we'd all be great. I just don't understand this proclivity to get angry at people for not seeing the supernatural vision that they see about themselves. And I also don't understand how You say what you want to say. Don't care what people think about what you say until people start saying they care about what you say and do. And then you go on this big spill about how you're a victim. That's the part of this. And it's not necessarily them. It's some people around them. That's the part of this, I think, that scares NFL people off. Like, man, we already got questions, not whether you're good or not, whether you're talented enough. But then we got to deal with that aspect, because if we fail, it's going to be everybody else's fault, except the fact that you're not good enough. And I think people don't want to put themselves in that position.
I mean, look, the quarterback position is supposed to be the leader of the room and the leader of the team and all that stuff. And nobody wants the leader of anything to be the most publicly boisterous, the most demonstrative, the most flashy, right?
Correct.
That's not limited to just football. You know what I mean? Like if LeBron James, well, I mean, okay, LeBron is actually a really good example. Like all of his antics on the court, people don't like that kind of crap. People don't like him trying to push around his legacy and push around his name and all that stuff on officials. They don't like that kind of stuff. They want their leader to be the quiet guy. They want their leader to be the guy that just puts his nose down and goes to work. You know what I mean? Like you look at Steph Curry, not that Steph doesn't do any of that stuff, but Steph doesn't do it to the level that LeBron does. And that's why people, at least for a period of time, liked Steph, I think, more than they liked LeBron. But I mean, it doesn't matter what field you're in. That's what people want. They want the quiet, sullen leader. I mean, where do you want to go? You want to go to the movies? Captain America. People like Captain America because he's got that image. Tom Brady. Like if any quarterback in the history of the NFL had the right to be demonstrative and braggadocious and all that stuff, it was Tom Brady. And Tom Brady was never that dude. And that's why so many people loved him. But it's also why so many people, when they say they hated him, had a hard time explaining why they hated him without saying, I hate how much he wins. You know what I mean? So Shedeur, like, look, man, you're a rich kid who's proud to be a rich kid. There is nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong.
Absolutely.
With being like, look at everything my dad and my mom and my family gave me, and look at this great platform I've been put on and all this other. Be proud, bro. Be proud. But at the same time, understand people are going to hate you for it. People hate everybody for what they have. Bottom line, like Wig, I got a car that is not a Bentley. It's not a Ferrari. It's nothing special. Most, like 80% of Americans could go on a car lot and afford to buy my car. But I have had people hate me for my car. Why? Because they can't have it. And it's not even worth hating me over. Mm-hmm. Bro, I'm proud of my car. Shedeur, be proud of what you got, even if people say you didn't earn it. I mean, hey, go earn it.
And I think he did earn it. I think one of the things, and this is because I'm kind of an alpha dude who's raised 5 kids. People have no idea. Their friends see me now and be like, man, your pops are so cool. My friends look at them and say, man, you have no idea what it was like growing up with that dude. That dude was like, people who have accomplished a lot, they put a lot of expectations. Everybody thinks it's all nepotism. No. These dudes have to work their butts off because their biggest critic is living right down the hallway in their own house. I tell you
my son works for me. Tell you what, he will not tell you that it's a fun time.
No, it isn't. Ain't nothing fun about it. Like, it looks fun now because it's all sunshine and rainbows with me and my kids, man. But it wasn't no sunshine or rainbows when they were growing up. I tell you what, sunshine and rainbows right now for the Eagles, but they have earned that. They just repaid yet another offensive lineman. And this is going to piggyback off of the Dallas situation. And it wouldn't be Wednesday if I didn't play Peter Bukowski, so David could get a little laugh at Peter Bukowski trying to figure out what the Packers are going to do. We'll hit that in just a second here on Locked On NFL. And today's show is sponsored and brought to you by Amazon Fire TV and Locked On. Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? I bet you didn't. Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe, or sign into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included. And you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty, Black Ops, and Avowed. As easily as you stream your favorite shows, it's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. Here you go. This is what you do, man. You head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller is required, however. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K, second generation, Fire TV Stick 4K Max, first and second generation, and Fire TV Cube, third generation. All right. Third segment here on Locked On NFL. Let's get to the Philadelphia Eagles. We were talking about Dallas not doing enough in the trenches. Guess what? Louis DiBiase is going to show y'all right now exactly why I said Philly is the new Dallas. It's going to make my man David Harrison look omniscient and sound omniscient because he didn't even know this clip was coming. Listen to what the Eagles, and I'm sorry, Dave, for playing this because this is what y'all got to deal with too in Washington. But check out the Eagles and something else they've done in their trenches.
On the offensive side of the football, center Cam Jurgens agreeing to a 4-year deal worth $68 million, 39 of which is fully guaranteed. Annual salary of $17 million puts Cam Jurgens as the second highest paid center in all of football. The Eagles now 4 of their starting 5 on the offensive line are getting paid top 6 contracts. So 1 through 6, 4 of 5 starters. The only guy is going to be Tyler Steen or Kenyon Green or a rookie starting right guard. The other 4 starters are getting top 6 money at their position. And the entire offense as a whole is getting top 10 money outside of right now the right guard position. And then if you consider Jahan Dotson a starter, the Eagles have 9 of 11 starters on offense getting paid top 10 money, which is incredible. But it just shows the historic rebuild. It represents one of the best rebuilds of a single unit in not just franchise history, but the history of the NFL.
Before I let you get your spill on it, people are wondering, well, how can they do that? Well, just about their whole damn defense is on rookie deals. That's how they can do it. But go ahead, David.
Yep. No, you're 100% right. And guess what? These 3 mock drafts I've been referencing, one of them has Walter Nolan going to the Eagles. Another one has Walter Nolan going to the Eagles. And another one has Donovan Ezeraku going to the Eagles. Why?
See?
Because if you're going to pay your whole offense top 10 money, you better keep drafting defenders because you are not going to be able to pay your defenders. But what you are going to be able to get is 3rd and 4th round compensatory picks for those defenders when they ball out and they go get signed to fat
Milton
deals
Williams.
teams.
Milton Williams. Yep. All those dudes that left.
So, look, and listen, this is kind of what I was talking about with the Cincinnati Bengals. Like the Cincinnati Bengals, and listen, and remember, if we go back, I did give the Bengals organization at least some credit because they gave Lou Anarumo a lot of defensive players through the NFL draft over the years. So they did try to do it. It just didn't work out. So that's a whole different conversation. But they tried to get that. But if you're the Cincinnati Bengals, you don't have a strong defense. You're pouring all of your resources. Look at me turning an Eagles conversation to a Bengals conversation.
Look at that.
You pour all your resources into the offense, but you got no defense to stop nobody. So you're going to go score 35 points a game, and you're going to lose every game 38-35. The Eagles are doing it differently. The Eagles, one, they're drafting well on the defensive side of the ball. So we have our formula over there. We have our formula of bringing in good, solid defensive players. We know who fits our defense. We know what Vic wants, what Vic needs, how to make it work. Continue to do that. Then we got these guys over there on the offense. And guess what? We keep losing offensive coordinators. Now we don't have Kellen Moore anymore, but we have a solid group of guys that we know we're going to drive the ship with. Pay all those dudes, keep them in, hire an offensive coordinator, knows how to use those guys. Look, it's worked so far. It's going to be one heck of a hill to climb for the Washington Commanders or the Dallas Cowboys, the New York Giants try to unseat the Eagles. That hasn't had a back-to-back division champion in the NFC East in a long, long time. But I'll tell you right now, Wig, I mean, if we're just looking at it on paper, you got to be honest. The Eagles are clearly the favorite in the NFC East, and they're making Jalen Hurts look a lot better than he actually is, which is going to help his paycheck someday.
Super formidable organization, top to bottom. I used to be a big Jeffrey Lurie critic. No longer that. He seems like he knows what the hell he's doing. The thing is, though, the 2 players you mentioned Donovan Ezeraku.
Donovan Ezeraku, who is not getting past 29. Philadelphia Eagles fans, you can forget getting him at 32. If he's there at 29, he's going to be a commander. I'm
all right, there's Ezeraku, the Boston College pass rusher, and then you mentioned Walter Nolan. Mm-hmm. Either one of them gets to Philly, they've succeeded because you know what they did? They sat there and waited, and a real good player fell to them. You want to get them off of their perch, try to make them be like the Bengals and draft guys in the first round that don't pan out. Well, if you let one of those get to them, you can kiss that goodbye because they'll both pan out. Real quick, too, talking about Packers. Ladies and gentlemen, I present you Peter Bukowski a day before the draft.
I don't have a feel for this. I have talked about why I think receiver is plan A. I continue to believe receiver is plan A because I just don't think the guys that they're going to be high on are going to be there. Like, I know that everyone wants to give them Alec Ayumanor from Stanford. First of all, I don't think he's thought of as highly in the NFL as he is by draft Twitter. And I know that he's a good fit for the Packers, but he doesn't move the needle for the Packers. He doesn't. They need a receiver that moves the needle. So, first round, there are 4 players that could make it to Green Bay that I have top 10 grades on. Okay? Tedero McMillan, it seems like the momentum right now is that he's going to be a top 10 pick. Probably going to be gone. Will Johnson, high 4.5s, low 4.6s. I think he's an ideal scheme fit for the Packers, but that's a big question mark. Now, I don't think, again, the plan is to draft a corner in the first round, but I think someone like Will Johnson could get them to change their mind. Mykel Williams, we heard from Todd McShay that he's going to go early, that he's going to play out the top 10. It didn't seem like that for a while. Like he's been in mocks to the Packers at 23. It is not a consensus opinion that he is a no doubt top 10 pick by any means. And then Calvin Banks Jr.
All right, so that's why I love local. That's why I love this network, because you get to tell people stuff about your team you don't know. I could have swore the Green Bay Packers have drafted really, really well at wide receiver over the last 4 years. But Peter says they need a receiver, so I'm going to trust him with it. Now, some people might say this. It's because Jordan Love has kind of underperformed with the expectations after the contract, so therefore they're trying to get another weapon to help him look as good as people think he is.
Yeah, I mean, listen, either Jordan Love's underperformed or he got paid too early, or where a lot of the receiver issues that they have had have been injuries. You know what I mean? Like when Christian Watson is healthy, he looks like a really good receiver. Romeo Doubs, Jaden Reed, all these guys. Like when they're healthy, they look like really good receivers. I don't know if any of them is a top receiver. Like there's not a Jamar Chase or a Mike Evans or Justin Jefferson.
They never had one of those though.
You know what I mean? But there's good dudes there. They just a lot of times they can't stay healthy, or like 2 of them are injured at the same time, stuff like that. Like that's a big part of the problem. I think if you're the Green Bay Packers, man, like you start with the receiver position. I think you have a good enough, offensive line. They got decent tight ends. Like you're decent everywhere. Jordan Love is a decent quarterback. Your D line is decent. Your linebackers are decent. There's a trend here, right? I'm gonna keep saying decent till it don't make no sense anymore.
So they're the decent Packers.
They're the decent team. So to me, and I remember telling Peter Bukowski the Packers were gonna finish 3rd in the NFC North, and then they did. Anyway.
Ooh, flexing.
So for me, if you're the Packers, you got to get a guy who he is. Health, you can't control. You can't scout health, none of that.
Right.
But Will Johnson, there's a lot of question marks about him. He'd be one of the slowest first-round corners ever drafted. There's a lot of question marks about him. Who was the other guys that we talked about? Oh, Mykel Williams out of Georgia. There's a lot of questions about him. You love the traits. You love what he looks like, but you don't know what he's going to be. I feel like Calvin Banks Jr., what he's going to be a little bit. Ted McMillan, I think what he's going to be. Emeka Egbuka, what he's going to be. So I think if you're the Packers, I'm not against them getting a weapon for Jordan Love because, again, it's not about the quality of the weapons you already have. It's about the availability of the weapons you already have.
No
so
doubt.
Go get you a receiver that looks like a quality weapon. Ted McMillan, Emeka Egbuka. I mean, Matthew Golden's not going to be there, but if he were to be there, you know what I mean? One of those guys. If it's not a receiver, like I said, you just have to get someone where you look at him and you say, this is how he's a Packer. This is how he's going to fit in the NFL. There's no questions, as much as you can. But if you have a question about these guys, like I said, Will Johnson, I love the upside. I'm with Peter, like top 10 upside. Got it. But there's so many questions on whether or not he's going to hit that upside. You know what I mean? So I just feel like if you're the Packers, that's the route you need to go. And if that's the route you're trying to go, you're almost better off just trading back and trying to collect some more picks. And maybe a guy, they love Mykel Williams upside, or they really want to go out there and get Will Johnson, you know what I mean? And you collect some picks and you move back and you get a guy that you kind of know who he's going to be, like a Donovan Ezeraku, for example. That's just the way I look at the Packers, because they've got so many dudes that are kind of like good, but they're teetering on they're going to get better or they're just going to stay where they are.
That's kind of who they are. Yeah, that's kind of who they are as a team, too. And maybe that's why Peter wants them to get over that hump to become a little bit more star-driven.
I don't want them to get a stud, man, because I'm going to Lambeau for the first time this year, and I need to go there and cover a win for the Commanders.
All right, I got you. I got you, David, trying to make sure things go easy for him on the road this year. Things go easy for you tomorrow with the draft, because tomorrow morning you'll hear the words, "We're finally here." And I know all of us that do this for a living, we will be glad when tomorrow comes. To make that day even easier for you, though, make sure you tap into Locked On NFL Draft and check out our mock draft that we did over some time, maybe a couple of weeks ago, and see what we have your teams doing and kind of measure it up to the draft and the way it's going to actually go. So make sure you check that out. Make that your second listen. We appreciate you joining us for 35 minutes here today on Locked On NFL. We'll see you next time on the show.